International Federation of Christian Churches has responded to restrictions that remain in place despite the lifting of the state of disaster. Indoor and outdoor venues can accept 50% capacity subject to a negative COVID-19 test or proof of vaccination. Some religious leaders have rejected the restrictions. Churchgoers are expected to gather this coming Easter weekend, and eNCA's Nqobile Madlala is following that story for us, and she joins us now live. Nqobile, has the press briefing by the church leaders started? What have they said so far?
Omaseko, it has started and it has even come to an end, but it's our understanding that they're saying that they are going to be following protocols this Easter weekend, but they're saying that they are rejecting what they have called a vaccine mandate. But I want to bring in a pastor here to speak to us exactly about what do they mean by rejecting this vaccine mandate you have called.
Well, we just had a press briefing and we made our stand clear as IFCC. And I want to say to the viewer also, after many discussions with our President, and even recently, before our Honourable President made the announcement of proposed new amendments and regulations to the Health Act, and then also this interim period, when the religious sector gathered with the government, every religious leader said we are not in favour of people having to produce a vaccination certificate to enter a place of worship. That would be the first time in the history of South Africa that something like this has ever happened. Never, ever have we ever discriminated against anybody based on a condition, based on gender, based on a race, based on a medical condition. And we feel that this is a violation of our basic human rights as well as our faith, that the church is a place where anybody is welcome, and we cannot see ourselves, people coming to our churches on a Sunday in a crisis, and we have to say to them, if you don't have a vaccination certificate, you're not allowed to come into a place of worship.
But of course we would say that these are stipulations. One can argue that that means now you're going to be breaking the law.
We are in favor of supporting our government, and we have proven our support to our government over the last 25 months. So to say that this is breaking a law is not what our intention is. Our intention is, as we have said to our government from day one, that we want our churches to open safely and responsibly. So we accept the fact that we can have worship, we put nobody's life at risk. And with all due respect, if people have been vaccinated, and some people have not been vaccinated, who are we putting at risk here? If the vaccine has already given people protection, and if the study in Wits University already shows that 85% of our people have reached immunity against serious disease. We have heard immunity in South Africa. Our President in his own speech said 65 to 80% of people have natural immunity. And if you look at the statistics, this can no longer be classified as a pandemic. It is endemic, and we need to put the responsibility in the hands of people to keep society safe.
And I also want to bring you here because you have just said, and speaking to people here in the briefing, you said that you are now you also opposing the Health Amendment Act. Perhaps explain to us why.
We are opposing the Health Amendment Acts for different reasons. One of them is, for the first time, it would give the government the authority to take any citizen of South Africa to a place of quarantine against their will and to do medical tests on them and to decide to vaccinate the person or to give them any medical treatment. It has never happened where any person has been forced by government, and even the bill states that a warrant can be issued if you are suspected of having some form of disease, and then taken to a state-owned quarantine facility, and then you will be tested, and then treatment will be decided, whether you are in agreement with it or not. How can that be justified? That is a total violation of people's human rights. That's against our Charter of Freedom. We never did this, and I have to say this. You know, when the greatest crisis hit South Africa years ago with the HIV pandemic, as we all remember, it was a crisis. We saw so many people die. And if there is a highly infectious virus, it's that HIV virus. And it was the church leaders at that time that engaged government as well and said, we cannot disclose the fact that people are HIV positive. Even when people go for job interviews, people are not required because we wanted to protect the dignity of people. Right. So measles airborne, TB airborne, how can we now discriminate against people with this vaccine? We are not against the vaccine. We encourage people to do what they can to fight this virus. We just cannot comply to an instruction that says people are only permitted in a house of worship proving a vaccine certificate.
All right. Thank you. I want to move over, Masego, here, as you heard from Pastor there explaining to us. He is saying that you are not opposing to the vaccine, but you're saying that you cannot discriminate against people. I mean, you are a female, and we were talking to you about the fact that women go through a lot. Why is it important for women then to be in church this Easter, but yet not following that vaccine mandate?
Not only during this Easter, but throughout. As women, like I said before, that 68% of church membership comprises women. This is where we find solace, this is where we find healing, this is where we find comfort. You know, since 2020, since when the pandemic started, you know, women have been faced with depression, with suicide, addiction, you know, substance abuse has gone up, you know, and it is in church that we find healing and counseling. And therefore, we feel as women that you cannot discriminate against women. You cannot say that certain women can come to church and certain women cannot come to church. We take it as a woman issue. And what is ironic is that, you know, last year in 2021, our government had declared the year to be the year of Charlotte Maxeke in honor of women in general, you know, and the very government are so insensitive to the needs of women. We cannot have some women coming to church and other women not coming to church. And we do believe in vaccination, we believe in science, but people have their reasons why they don't want to vaccinate. And it is their freedom of choice, and that is why we even uttered statements such as they are demonstrating, you know, qualities of being constitutional delinquents, because these are the very people that passed this constitution, and now they are in violation of Section 18 as well of our Constitution, you know, and Section 15, Roman figure 1 and 1b. So we do not accept it, and we will not heed to discriminating against any of the people that want to attend our services.
But I mean, one can also argue that churches have had to have less people coming to church, and this could be an argument of the fact that you need more people coming to church so that also you can, for lack of a better word, benefit from it.
Oh no, come on. You know, our church is a medium church, or a small church, and we've employed about 21 people. We create jobs, we lay bread on people's tables on a monthly basis. And I'm just talking about our small church. I can imagine, you know, big churches. We contribute to propelling the economy of this country. You know, as church, we give more than what we gain from people. It has absolutely nothing to do with us gaining financially.
All right. But if this Health Amendment Act does come, then does get voted in, then what does churches do going forward?
We will have to come back to the drawing board, but the fact remains that we will not accept and we will not discriminate against any of our members. And Acts chapter number 4 and 29, you know, what is happening now, it's something that has happened before. And when the people in the past were faced with this situation, they asked a question: if we are to obey God or man? You answer that.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, there you have it, Masego. IFCC, very clear that they are going to be going forward with the Easters, but they're saying that they are not going to be discriminating against some of the congregants, whether they're vaccinated or not. She brings in a very important point. They're saying that it's very important for females as well to be back in church. She says that last year was the year of Charlotte Maxeke, and this was in a way celebrating women. Then why women can't be celebrated now going forward during that Easter weekend?
All right, Nqobile Madlala, let's leave it there. The case against